Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Record Rap for 2025. It's Wednesday, March 5, a bit later in the year, but after a long break, we're happy to be back. I'm Juliana Muniz.
And I'm Jankiewicz.
In this episode, Bubsie is back on the road and will likely pop in to visit your church this year. And hundreds of women from across the SPD gathered to be empowered in ministry. But first, Ashley, can you tell us what's been making headlines?
In Croatia, an Adventist pastor and his 3 sons gained national attention on Super Talent, Croatia's Got Talent show. Named the Agape Family Quartet, the 4 sang Shall We Gather at the River from the Adventist hymnal. They received a standing ovation and 4 yeses from the judges to return to the semi-finals, where they sang an a cappella rendition of Oceans. A couple of the judges were moved to tears, and even one judge, who admitted his general dislike for spiritual music, gave a yes for the quality of the quartet's singing. While the group didn't make it to the final, they were invited back as special guests, something never done before in the show's 11 seasons. The response from the public was very positive, with many in the predominantly Catholic country being introduced to Adventism for the first time as the quartet's performances went viral. In other news, exercise has long been known to help prevent dementia. However, new research has revealed that not all sedentary activities affect brain health equally. How you sit matters, with some behaviors having positive effects and others having negative effects. Socially or mentally stimulating activities such as reading, crafting, listening to music, playing a musical instrument, or talking with others can boost cognitive function, helping memory and overall thinking abilities. Activities such as watching TV or playing video games, however, can be harmful. Dementia affects millions globally, with at least 45% of cases preventable through lifestyle. Researchers suggest building healthy habits around time spent sitting and swapping potentially harmful sedentary behaviors for more helpful ones, while still prioritizing physical movement.
Now back to the South Pacific. Women from across the South Pacific Division had their call to ministry reaffirmed at the called Women in Ministry and Leadership Conference. Held at Avondale University from February 17 to 20, the event gathered 190 women from across the 4 unions. The conference is held every 5 years and serves as a key platform for networking, encouragement, and professional development for women serving in ministry.
The goals of this conference are to bring women together for conversation and support and networking.
That's SPD Associate Ministerial Secretary Dr. Edita Jankiewicz.
But also to reaffirm their calling to ministry and to help them to know that they're not alone, that there are other women all across the division also labouring, some of them in really challenging situations where there's not a lot of support from the community for female pastors.
Attendee Teresa from Central Papua Conference felt that support.
This conference was just affirming my calling as a pastoral minister among my male colleagues. This conference has helped me to be intentional in my calling and the fact that it was a call from the Lord.
Among the keynote speakers were Dr. Hyveth Williams, professor of homiletics at Andrews University, and Dr. Tara Vincross, senior pastor at Azure Hills Adventist Church in the Southeastern California Conference. They covered topics such as resilience in ministry and deep calling.
We have enjoyed so far the messages that has been shared with us. It has boosted our passion to serve God more effectively in our special fields of leadership.
That's Diane Pelap, Women's and Children's Ministries Director of New Britain New Ireland Mission in PNG. Attending the conference with her team gave them a renewed sense of mission.
It has opened up our mindset that we have a purpose to serve God in His field, especially in participating in the Great Gospel Commission.
A new evangelistic initiative is celebrating the legacy of Adventist mission in Australia by reenacting a historic journey. Ride Around Australia is retracing the first ever drive around the country in an automobile completed by Seventh-day Adventist literature evangelist Neville Westwood in 1925. Starting at Avondale University Church on February 21, the journey will take Bubsie, a restored Citroen 5 CV, similar to the one Mr. Westwood drove, across the country.
And because it's the 100th anniversary of this event, the Incredible Journey has acquired an exact model of the first car that drove around Australia.
That's Pastor Kevin Amos, a volunteer with the initiative.
This car is going to be taken to over 270 towns and villages throughout Australia. We will be able to share the story and let people see some of our Australian history and what makes our nation one of ingenuity and courage and commitment, as we see reflected in the story of what these two young guys did.
Led by independent supporting ministry The Incredible Journey, Right Around Australia will take Bubsie around the country to share Mr. Westwood's story, distribute free Adventist literature, and Bible courses. The Australian Union Conference is also supporting the project by funding the production of The Overlander, the church's sharing booklet for 2025 in Australia. Copies will be handed out at every stop.
That's been printed by Signs, with the support of the Literature Ministry Committee, which means that money from the AUC, money from the NZPUC, and money from the South Pacific Division have been used to support the production of this booklet.
That's AUC President Pastor Terry Johnson. He explains why local churches should get involved in this initiative.
We see this as kind of a sowing thing, so preparing the soil, sowing, so that by the time we come to AUC for Christ in 2028, we've had a number of different projects that have helped us make connections with people, grow that, including Faith FM and so on, so that we can have a harvest in 2028 that maybe will be like Papua New Guinea.
Pastor Johnson also explained what local churches can do to get involved.
What we have told the churches is that if they've got access to the Bubsie vehicle and tour, that they should be thinking about doing something else and launching that something else on the week of the tour, such as Bible studies or Daniel Revelation seminar, or an evangelistic program, or a health program, that they can try and multiply the outcome of having a whole bunch of men come to see a car. Because I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of women that'll come to see this car, but there'll be some. And hopefully they'll be interested in actually doing something different once they've seen the car.
To find out when Bubsie and the Incredible Journey team will be in your area, check the route plan on the initiative's website. Bulk copies of The Overlander are also available and can be ordered through your local conference's Literature Ministries coordinator or online. All relevant links can be found in the description of this episode. And that wraps up this week's episode of Record Rap. Thank you for tuning in.
Don't forget to visit our website at record.adventistchurch.com and follow us on social media for more updates and stories. You can also receive news straight to your inbox by subscribing to our weekly e-newsletter.
We'll be back next week with more news from around the South Pacific Division. See you then.
This is an Adventist Media podcast.